Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. As protests continue around this country for the ninth straight night tonight, they are mostly peaceful. We'll be covering those marches. We begin with the unraveling of the moment the president seems to have hoped would be a defining triumph. The assault on peaceful protesters at the White House on Monday to clear the way for him to go stand in front of a church, awkwardly holding a Bible, because he was reportedly mad that anyone would think he was hiding in a White House bunker during the protests. He thought that photo op would project strength, but instead it has turned into a defining debacle. Widely condemned by many of the people involved. And now this, his former defense secretary, retired Marine Corps General James Mattis, who left his administration in December of 2018, released a forceful denunciation of the president, a guy who would tear gas his own people to try to make himself look good. He released a statement just a couple of hours ago. I'm going to read some of it to you. Quote, "I have watched this week's unfolding events angry and appalled. The words equal justice under law are carved in the pediment of the United States Supreme Court. This is precisely what protesters are rightly demanding. When I joined the military some 50 years ago, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Never did I dream that troops taking that same oath would be ordered under any circumstance to violate the constitutional rights of their fellow citizens, much less to provide a bizarre photo op for the elected commander-in-chief with military leadership standing alongside." Bizarre photo op for the commander-in-chief. Just yesterday, it was the current Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, telling NBC News in an exclusive interview that he thought he was going to talk to troops and, I really love this one, let's not lose sight of it, observe a vandalized bathroom, and had no idea about the photo op. Well, today, Secretary Esper changed his story. He had to admit that he didn't think they were going to look at graffiti on a urinal, that he knew where he was going. And he also said he opposes sending active duty troops in for the George Floyd protest, something the president announced he would like to do earlier this week. Reporters say the White House isn't happy with all that. So it's clear something's going on in the Pentagon with the former and current Secretary of Defense feel the need to make these statements on the same day. But of course, the problem at the heart of all of this is that fundamentally the president is a weak man. Deep down, he's a weak man. And he compensates for that fundamental weakness by projecting strength in the most pathetic and obvious ways, like congratulating himself for the supposed domination of protesters. And we are all caught in his psychodrama because he is the president, which is why he is currently turning Washington, D.C. into this real-life projection of his own authoritarian dreams, including this deployment of military police at the Lincoln Memorial against peaceful protesters. It's why there were a low-flying helicopter menacing Americans in the nation's capital, and why today at the White House, there were basically on the streets of the American capital secret police. These guys who refused to identify themselves, who did not wear insignias or nameplates. Today, we also learn more about Trump's trip to that bunker. The Washington Post reporting the Secret Service decided to move Trump there after protesters breached temporary fences near a White House complex. But that is not the story that the man who Senator Tammy Duckworth called a draft-dodging wannabe tin pot dictator is telling. No. The president is hilariously trying to assure us that the bunker trip was just for inspection purposes.
Well, it was a false report. I wasn't down. I went down during the day, and I was there for a tiny, little short period of time, and it was much more for an inspection.
So you tell me, Mr. President, they didn't say to you, you have to go downstairs. My responsibility is your welfare. They didn't limit you at all in the House?
Nope, they didn't tell me that at all. But they said it would be a good time to go down, take a look, because maybe sometime you're going to need it.
I love the idea. The protesters have breached the fence. Now would be a good time to inspect the bunker, Mr. President, just because you might need it in the future. The president's attempts to project strength and domination are pathetic. They're frankly pathetic. They're not working. Most people rightly think the president is failing miserably at the task at hand. Only 39% of the country approve his handling of the protests, compared to 55% who disapprove. Things are not looking good. Now, we have learned over 5 years of watching Trump, there is no definitive breaking point. There's no moment where it all collapses. Have you no decency, sir? Where Trump is routed and repudiated and everyone runs away from him. But in an election year, the widening circles of condemnation matter.